Hello children. Today in this chapter, crop production and management, we're going to learn about crops. So we know that our food requirements are fulfilled by crops. That is by a process called agriculture. Various crops are grown. We need so many things for our food requirements every day. We need fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, oils. So just you open your lunch box or snacks box and see what are the different items made, prepared for you by your mother. You may be having idli or puri or chapati, that is roti, in your snacks box or tiffin box. You may be having rice, biryani, fried rice. These kind of items are made out of cereals, and you may be given certain fruit salad or vegetable salad. So see that to prepare our food, either breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatsoever, we need certain things like these: fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses and oils. All these things we get from crops. So crops are very important. They are very important to supply the food to the nation. So without food, we cannot get any energy to carry out our activities. It is a very basic and primary need. So the supply is food done by the crops. Earlier, long ago, 10,000 BC, 10,000 BC, then the people were nomadic. Nomadic in the sense, moving from one place to another place in groups. People, they were not used to be settled at one place. There were no towns and cities or villages. People moving in groups. They used to gather, collect fruits, vegetables, nuts, whichever available in the nature, that is in the forest. So they have only collection. But sometimes when they were not able to collect it, they have to starve. In some seasons, in such extreme conditions, they were not able to collect the food. Later, they started settling down at one particular place. They started cultivating the land. Then started the process called as agriculture. So now let us see what is a crop. Crop means growing a same kind of plant in a particular plot, particular area is called as a crop. We have selected some area, 1 acre of land. So in that 1 acre of land, we are growing only paddy. You call it as a paddy crop. You are growing only wheat. You call it as a wheat crop. You are growing only maize. You call it as a maize crop or sugar cane. So if you are growing only one particular plant in a plot of area, you call it as a crop. So the growing of crop, the type of plant, it grows at a particular season, because the growth of plants is dependent on different factors like rainfall, temperature. Certain plants, they grow at specific temperature. At low temperatures, they cannot grow. Rainfall, humidity. So these are the various factors. Irrigation, availability of water. Sometimes, if water is available, the crop can be grown at any of the season. Because if the water is available, some places, if they are dependent on only rainfall, they can grow crops only when there is rain. Otherwise, they cannot grow a crop. So the crops, the plants, they grow on basing certain factors, especially the temperature, humidity and rainfall. So according to that, there are two major crop patterns. Despite of this diversity, there are so many various factors controlling. There are two major cropping patterns observed in our country. They are Kharif crops and Rabi crops. The Kharif crops are the rainy season crops. It will be from the month of June to September. Majorly here paddy, maize, soya, groundnut, cotton are grown during this season, Kharif season. Whereas the Rabi season, these are the winter season crops, October to March. Here, wheat, gram, mustard, pea, linseed, these are grown. However, nowadays, the pulses and vegetables are grown throughout the year because they are on high demand. Even paddy is also grown in both the seasons where the water facility is available. So they are growing. So these are the basic two major cropping patterns, Kharif crops and Rabi crops. So these two are the two different cropping patterns, and the crops, they are dependent on different factors like rainfall, temperature, humidity and irrigation. So the crops are of different types: fruit crops, vegetables, cereals, pulses, oil, fruit plantations. So these are all comes under the crops. Now we are going to look at what are the basic practices of cropping, that is agriculture. So agriculture is a whole process. It has some stages, some steps. So when you wanted to grow a crop, you need to follow step-by-step procedure very carefully with the available amount of budget, with the available resources, with the available manpower, with the available technology. It is not uniform for everybody. All the farmers do not have the same equipment. All the farmers do not have the same amounts, budget to invest on the crop. So let us see what are the various basic practices and how well they can utilize the resources, and how well with a less investment in a sustainable manner the process of agriculture can be carried out. Now let us see the basic practices of crop production. So what are the various practices involved in crop production, that is in agriculture, that is growing crops. So where do we grow the crops? We grow the crops on the soil. So that is done in the soil. So there should be a suitable soil. The first practice is preparation of soil. So there is soil to grow the crop. The soil, it has to be prepared. Preparation. So what is that preparation? So the soil has to be loosened, the soil has to be moistened, the soil has to be kept ready to plant the seeds, to sow the seeds. That is the preparation of soil. It is the first and most important step in crop production, that is agricultural practice, one of the most important and the first agricultural practice, which will make the soil loose, so by that the plants can breathe well, they can penetrate their roots, there will be more air entering into the soil when the soil is made loose, more moisture is entering, more humidity is entering, more number of microbes are growing which are helpful for the plant, and earthworms and other creatures also will grow when the soil is loosened. So that is the preparation of soil. The second thing is sowing the seeds, planting the seeds with the help of tractors or manual or by different machinery. Sowing of seeds, that is the second important practice. Selecting good seeds and sowing them in a proper way, that is the second one. The third one is adding manure or fertilizers. So once the seeds are sown, they need to be supplied with supplements, nutrients to grow up, because the soil is losing fertility day by day, because the same soil is used for cropping from number of years. From generations to generations we are using the soil for cropping. So the soil is constantly losing the nutrients. So every time when you grow a new crop, you need to add some nutrients artificially, either in the form of organic manure or chemical fertilizer. So either of this must be added to the soil, otherwise the plants cannot grow properly. And the next one is irrigation, the most important supply of water. Without water you cannot grow the plants. So the plants are to be, the crop has to be supplied with proper amount of water, sufficient amount of water. So that is the irrigation. So the water is derived either from irrigation canals or from the bore wells or from the dug wells. So the farmers, they will be having their own ways of bringing the water. That comes under irrigation. So the next one is protecting from weeds. So when you provide water, when you provide nutrients, minerals, fertilizers to the soil It becomes a ground for growth of plants. That means crop which we have sown. Along with the crop, some unwanted plants also grows. We call them as weeds, the unwanted plants. So these unwanted plants are to be removed, otherwise they compete with the main crop. So that is an important step. Removing of unwanted plants, that is protecting the crop from weeds. Next one is harvesting. So the crop is grown, it is ready to cut. So the crop has to be harvested, cutting of the crop, collecting the produce from the crop. And this produce has to be properly stored till you get proper price for your product. Soon after harvesting, you cannot sell it as it is. So as it is, the cereals, paddy, wheat, all these are to be stored. So storage is important, because once the produce, the grains, produced grains are if not properly stored, they may damage either by environmental factors like humidity, temperature, rainfall and all this, and they may be damaged by biological agents like rats, insects and pests, and they will eat the grains and spoil the quality of the grains. So the grains are to be stored properly to protect both from environmental as well as biological threats. So all these are agricultural practices. So what are the various steps in this crop production are called as agricultural practices. Now let us see each one of these practices in detail with examples and the complete details. Let us start with the preparation of soil. So let us look at the first one, the preparation of soil. The first practice is loosening the soil, making the soil loose. Why to make the soil loose? The soil has to be made loose because so by that the air enters the soil and moisture enters the soil. It will let the microbes to grow. So what does these microbes do? So if there are any old roots or leaves of other plants or dead decaying matter, that will be converted to useful organic matter by these microbes. So they decompose. So they convert that into manure and earthworms. So these earthworms, they make the soil further loose. They make the soil further loose. And the earthworms also contribute in adding some organic manure. So the loose soil, it will help the roots to breathe properly. So that is the reason why the soil is loosened. Before the soil is loosened, if the soil is very dry, to make the soil loose, before loosening, watering is done sometimes. First watering. Now the soil is made loose. How the soil is made loose? Using an agricultural implement called as plough. A plough is used. A plough is used for the process of tilling, or it is also called as ploughing. What is this? Plough. So with the help of the plough, the soil is made into loose. So the plough, it will make the soil into crumbs. These crumbs will be again leveled by a leveler. The soil has to be leveled again. For both irrigation as well as for sowing the seeds also, the soil must be leveled. First the soil is loosened. So by this loosening, there will be more microbial activity, there will be more air entering into the soil. These earthworms and all grow well. If any debris is there, it will be decomposed by the microorganisms. Manure is added. Sometimes before they till the soil, along with watering, they will add some manure also. Before ploughing, manure. So this manure will get mixed up properly. Because of ploughing, one more use is that nutrients, if any nutrients they have gone to the bottom layers, those nutrients will come up. Because of ploughing, the soil will become upside down. So because you know that the plants, they grow only in the topsoil region, which is a few centimeters depth. So in the topsoil here, the nutrients which are seeping down, the nutrients will come up. So that is one more benefit. The nutrients comes up. The soil becomes loose. More microbial activity. If any organic matter is that decomposes and helpful for the plant growth, more air and moisture. So this loosening is done by the plow. The plow, it makes the soil loose, and again the soil is leveled by the leveler. So this is the preparation of soil. So sometimes watering is done. If the soil is so dry, the watering is done before plowing. Sometimes they will add manure before plowing. So by that the manure is well mixed up with the soil. Now let us look at the agricultural implements that are needed for loosening of soil. To make the soil loose, what are the different tools used here? The very old and ancient and traditional tool that is used to make the soil loose is plow. Basically, the plows are made with wooden plows. So, wooden plows, they are pulled by either bulls or camels or horses. Animals were used to pull this wooden plow, and it is handled by the farmer at the back. It will be balanced or positioned by the farmer, and the bulls will pull, and this plow, it will be having a iron strip at the end called as plowshare, which will pierce the soil, and this is called as plow shaft. So this plow shaft is connected to a beam, and this beam is connected to animals. So two animals will be connected to the beam. At the center of the beam, the plow shaft is connected, and the plow will pierce and loosen the soil. This is used to remove the weeds, to loosen the soil. But nowadays, these wooden plows are being replaced by iron ones. People are using iron plows to make the soil loose. So earlier, it was the wooden plow pulled by the animals. So the other one, the next implement is hoe. So how is this helpful? Here it is also a wooden beam. The wooden beam will be a handle, and here will be a grip to handle this, and it has got a bent iron plate, broad iron plate, and this is also to loosen the soil, to remove the weeds, and it is also connected to any of the means that is connected to the beam. So the beam is connected to the animals to pull. So this is also used to loosen the soil. Either the hoe or this plow are used to loosen the soil. Nowadays, iron plows are fixed to the tractors. Tractors are being used in agricultural nowadays because it is very fast. The tractor will be having a plow. At the same time, it will be having a leveler also, a plank. So it will be plowing, at the same time it will be leveling. So thereby the farmer can save the time without any effort. Instead of spending long time in the hot sun, the farmer can use a tractor and an iron plow, iron leveler. So by that he can finish off the task of plowing in 1 or 2 hours in the particular plot of area. So tractors and iron plows are being used these days. Even though the farmers, they cannot afford to buy a tractor or a plow, they are hiring the tractor and plow for some time and they are doing it. So it has become the usage of traditional plow and using the bulls for plowing, it has become rare because of its time taking, because it is a time taking process. Now let us look at the second important practice, that is sowing of seeds. So best quality seeds are to be selected for best crop. So how do they get? The farmers are purchasing the seeds either from government agencies or from private outlets. But nowadays we see that certain private outlets are selling the duplicate seeds, the seeds which do not sprout up, the seeds which even though they grow into plants, they do not produce flowers or fruits. So we see that many of the farmers are attempting suicides. See that selection of seed is how important it is. It will decide the whole crop. So it will decide the life of the farmer. So the government agencies also, they provide quality seeds. So the farmers, they can choose, they should get some knowledge, they should inquire, and they should spare some time in selecting the right or proper seed. Some of the farmers, traditionally, they will store some of the grains the previous crop produced to plant again. Whatsoever, the seed should be sorted and selected. The simple technique of selecting the best seed is that keeping the seeds in water. The seeds which are hollow, the seeds which are made hollow by ants or any pests or any worms, the seeds will float. Whatsoever are floating, those are all damaged seeds. Whatsoever seeds are sinking down, which seeds are round, which are in heavy and good shape, weight, proper color and texture, such kind of seeds are to be picked up. Such healthy seeds are to be used for sowing. Now, to sow the seeds, what are the implements used here? One, traditional tool. The other one is seed drill. What is this traditional tool? Traditional tool is like a funnel. The funnel is having a pipe, and this pipe will be having some 2 or 3 branch pipes like this. And here at the bottom they will have sharp edges. So here they will put the seeds. These seeds will be passing like this, and these sharp edges they will pierce the soil and the seeds will be falling in the soil. And this is connected to the normal plow, and with the help of bulls it is pulled. So this is a traditional tool by which the farmers they will sow the seeds. Nowadays seed drills are used for sowing the seeds. Seed drill is like a plowing machine. It will be having a funnel like equipment with pipes connected here. Here in the seed drill, the seeds are properly sown. They are sown at proper distances and they are covered by the soil properly. So by that, the plants will grow with equal distance, and at the same time they will go a bit deeper. So by that they are protected from birds and other animals which may eat the seeds. So they will get placed in right place with right distances by using the seed drill. The seed drill may be connected to a tractor. So using seed drill for sowing, it is very quick and fast process which will save your time and labor. So by that the farmers get more benefit if they use a seed drill instead of a traditional tool. In seed drills there will be different varieties for different crops. So by that the farmers they will make the adjustment to the seed drill and see that how many seeds with what distance they are to be dispersed properly in the proper places. So here the sowing is achieved by either of this agricultural implements. So the second phase is sowing, and next to that adding manure or fertilizers. Now let us look at the other practice, that is adding manure and fertilizers to the crop. It is very important. So what is a manure and what is a fertilizer? Plants they require nutrients to grow as like other animals and humans. We need nutrients, we need food to grow. We need food to build our body. We need food to defense against diseases. In the same way, if you wanted to grow a plant also needs some food. Of course, plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Apart from the food which it prepares, it requires certain nutrients, certain minerals, certain salts, which are helpful for the growth of plant. So these salts, the plants they get from the soil through their roots. These salts are absorbed. These minerals are absorbed. These nutrients are absorbed from the soil. It means for the proper growth of the plants, the soil must be having the nutrients. But actually what happens is that crop by crop, the farmers are growing the crops again and again in the same piece of field. So the soil becomes deficient of nutrients because continuously, repeatedly the same soil is used again and again for production. So ultimately the soil will be full of nutrient deficient. They become deficiency. They get deficiency of nutrients. So how the nutrients are replenished? For every crop, the farmers, they have to add the nutrients to the soil, either in the form of manure or either in the form of fertilizer. It depends upon the crop, it depends upon the farmer, it depends upon his particular pattern of growing. Every farmer will be having his own choice. Availability of manure or availability of fertilizers, his investment, his budget, the type of crop, and all these are the various factors. But of course, whatsoever it may be, this crop should be given nutrients either in the form of a manure or a fertilizer. Now let us talk about the manure. Manure is natural as well as organic. Natural. The dead and decomposing matter of plant and animal bodies is called as manure. Say the farmers, if they collect all the dung of cows and buffaloes, if they dry it, they can use it as a manure. The excreta of animals and humans can be used as a manure. So farmers, as they are growing cattle as a part of their agriculture, they collect the cattle dung and the dung is applied as a manure. So it is rich in nutrients. So the animal waste directly itself, it is not a manure. When it is decomposing, it becomes a manure. So for this reason, some farmers, they make some pits and they keep all the organic waste like animal excreta, vegetable waste, other plant waste. So all these wastes are kept in a pit, and in the pit they allow the earthworms to grow. These earthworms, they decompose, and microorganisms also decompose this waste into some manure, which we call it as a vermicompost. So in such a way, farmers prepare the organic manure, and that manure is applied to the fields. So collecting manure is not possible for the farmers all the time, because it may not be available to each and every farmer, the manure. And application of manure, it requires certain conditions. So some of the farmers, for easiest and the best and convenient way, they are choosing the fertilizers. Fertilizers are the chemicals, synthetic chemicals, which are made in the factory. Fertilizers, they contain the specific nutrients. Say for example NPK. N stands for nitrogen, P stands for phosphorus, K stands for potassium. These three nutrients are very essential for the growth of paddy and wheat plants. They grow so tall and quickly when these fertilizers are applied. So farmers, they purchase these artificial fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, or you can say chemical fertilizers. So these chemical fertilizers are sprinkled directly to the field. So by that the plants, they grow rapidly. The farmers get more benefits. So that is in the green revolution, the people started using fertilizers to increase the crop production. But there are certain problems, side effects by using these fertilizers. Excessive use of fertilizers will damage the crop. And if you use more fertilizers, unwanted plants also may grow in large quantity. And after applying the fertilizer, if there is a rainfall, the fertilizer will be washed away to the close by water bodies and cause water pollution. So this kind of problems are there with the fertilizers. So fertilizer food is not so good in terms of health, you see. So people are preferring to organic foods, foods that are grown without using fertilizers, chemical pesticides and insecticides. Now in the market there are certain foods available called organic green gram, organic black gram, organic rice, organic wheat, organic atta. So what is this term organic refers to? Organic refers to that the crop is grown by very sustainable natural methods, by using manures and other biotechniques, not by using the chemical and artificial fertilizers. So people are preferring to that. They are taking the choice of consuming the organic because they do not harm the health. So however, if you see from the side of farmer in the production of crop, to get a good production, you need to use fertilizer. So good quality fertilizer is used to grow the crops rapidly In a very short time, the crops will be growing so healthy, so tall, and good amount of production will be done by the use of this fertilizers. So you may get it out, only these two are the choices, like adding a manure or a fertilizer, but farmers, don't they have any other choice or any other method by which they can improve the fertility of the soil of their crop? Yes, there are certain methods like crop rotation. Crop rotation. So how does this crop rotation help the farmers to improve the fertility of the soil? It can. See, the farmers, if they are growing first legumes in the crop, legumes, the leguminous plants, you know that the leguminous plants, they contain root nodules on their roots, which consist of a bacteria called rhizobium. Rhizobium. So this rhizobium, it helps in adding nitrogen salts to the soil. So when the legumes are grown, large amount of nitrogen salts are fixed in the soil. Next time, they don't grow the legumes, they grow the fodder crop or paddy or something else. Then it will use the nitrogen salts to grow. Again, they grow the legumes. Now you see, this is rotation, crop rotation. That means here they are making use of a technique, growing one plant which will add up nutrients into the soil. Next time they grow another crop which will use up the nutrients that are preserved by the previous crop. In this way, the farmers can reduce adding this manure and fertilizer from outside. This is a technique, this is a practice followed in North India. Many of the places, the people are following this crop rotation methods. That is to improve the quality of the soil without any additional efforts or adding any chemical fertilizers or manure. Manure is best always when compared to the fertilizers, because when manure is added, the texture of the soil is improved, the water holding capacity of the soil is improved, the microbial activity of the soil is improved, which is not found in the fertilizer. So it is more advantageous usage of manure. So farmers, they have to put efforts to collect the manure and get the manure and apply it in the right time, in the right proper quantity. So by that, the soil quality is improved, overall quality of the soil is improved, which is not possible by adding these artificial fertilizers. Right? Now let us see the difference between manure and fertilizer. Once again, just we sort out the points between the manure and fertilizer, and we see that what are the pros and cons of using both these manure and fertilizers. Now let us look at the differences between the fertilizer and manure at different points. Let us see the comparison. The first thing is, the fertilizer is an organic salt. It is an organic salt. It's a chemical. It's a pure chemical, a synthesized chemical made in the factories. Whereas the manure is the decomposing material of plant and animal matter getting decomposed. Animal excreta, dung, human excreta, such kind of materials getting decomposed, which are being decomposed, such materials are called as manure. And the other one, prepared in factories. Fertilizers are prepared in factories. You might be seeing that the advertisements of various fertilizers. So in the factory, they prepare these fertilizers by chemical methods, whereas manure is prepared in the fields. In the field itself, the manure is prepared, and they make certain vermicompost pits or sheds at which the manure is prepared, and does not provide any humus to the soil. Chemical fertilizers, they do not add up any humus. They do not affect the texture of the soil. They do not add up any humus to the soil. Simply the fertilizer is sprinkled, the chemical is sprinkled into the soil. But whereas this manure, it provides a lot of humus. It makes the texture of the soil great. It helps the growth of microbial activity. The microbial activity is increased there. The natural texture of the soil is improvised because of the humus, which is not possible by these artificial fertilizers. So at this point, this is the reason why the quality of the soil is improved there. So this is advised. The farmers are advised to use this manure. And at the other point, rich in plant nutrients like NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So these kind of nutrients are rich, in the sense these nutrients are just packed as a fertilizer. The directly nutrients are sprinkled. So they are available to the plant in large quantity. So you can see the drastic change in the growth of plants. Immediately they grow, they shoot up because of the fertilizer. Right? So this is the one point advantage to the farmer, because he can shoot up the growth of plants at a single time by applying the fertilizer. But there are many side effects that he should consider. Whereas the manure, it is less rich in plant nutrients compared to fertilizer. Manures are having less nutrients compared to fertilizers. But even then, why farmers prefer to use manures? Because of course manure is less in nutrient nutrient content compared to fertilizer. It has got other benefits. It has got other better qualities which will improve the soil quality. So the farmers, they have to prefer the natural manure which is sustainable for the crop and even for the environment, right? So that is, those are the differences between the fertilizer and manure. Now let us see, just once again look at the benefits of the manure. So just look at the points here. By this we can add up some more points to the manure, the benefits of the manure. By adding manure to the soil, the water holding capacity of the soil increases. The water, whatever the water is sent to the fields by irrigation, the water is not simply washed off. The water is held by the soil because of the manure. Because manure, it consists of humus. Humus will hold the water. The porosity of the soil is improvised. So by that, more air enters into the soil and the roots get more chance for breathing. And there is more microbial activity. So these microbes help the plants in many ways. So it improves the texture of the soil. So all these are the advantages of the manure. So that is the reason why farmers are advised to use manure instead of artificial fertilizers. Now let us see the next agricultural practice, that is irrigation, supplying water to the crops. It is very, very important. So plants also require water to live as like animals. Moreover, plants, they contain 90% of their body is water. Plants cannot live without water. Just if you don't water the plant for half a day or one day, you see that the leaves gets dried up. So water is very important for the plants, for the crops to grow. The water has to be supplied. The water makes the soil wet, so by that the plants, they get good grip. The soil is not dried. And the water, the plants, they are in an outside environment. The plants are constantly exposed to hot winds. The plants are constantly exposed to cold winds. So likewise, in different extreme climatic conditions, they are exposed to. So there will be more transpiration, evaporation of water from their bodies. So the plants, they need to take up the water continuously. And at the same time, plants can take the nutrients from the soil only along with water. So without water, they cannot absorb any nutrients directly. So for all these reasons, water is important. A plant can grow properly, can flower, can give fruits only when it is richly supplied with water. So without water, plants cannot grow. And again, it depends upon the season. If it is summer season, there will be more evaporation, more transpiration. So by that, the more water is evaporated into the atmosphere, and the plants are needed to be more and more times watered. So that is the importance of the irrigation. Now let us see what are the various modes or methods by which the irrigation is done. So there are so many traditional ways. In olden days, the people used to follow the traditional methods of irrigation. They used to have dug wells or irrigation canals from where the water is mobilized to that fields. Nowadays, all these things have gone up. People are simply depending upon the dug wells, bore wells. So they are putting a bore, they are fixing a pump motor which is drawing the groundwater, and the groundwater is used for irrigation. So which is very, very simple, right? So now let us see what are the various irrigation methods followed. Now let us see the methods of irrigation, traditional as well as modern methods. So the traditional methods, if you see the first one, moat, chain pump, dhekli, rahat, lever system. So in all these methods, the physical labor is used. Either the men or any animals like bulls are used to do the irrigation. So mostly the water is drawn from dug wells or canals. So mostly from the canals or dug wells or from ponds, the water is drawn to the irrigated fields by this either moat or chain pump or Dekli or Rahat. This is a very slow process and it needs a lot of physical labor. So these are the traditional methods of irrigation. Whereas the modern methods of irrigation, you see the sprinkler system and drip system. These are the two systems in which water is conserved. Less water is used. In sprinkler system, the water is drawn from either from the dug well or from the bore well and the water is sent through the pipes. So these pipes will be having a sprinkler. The sprinkler will sprinkle the water. Whereas in the drip system, the water is supplied to the pipes network. The pipes will be having small holes. So from these holes, drop by drop, water is supplied to the leaves, to the roots of the plant directly. So here also there is a less wastage of water. So we can conserve the water with less amount of water, the agriculture can be carried out. So these two are the two advanced or modern methods of irrigation and farmers are advised to follow these methods. But here it requires the supply of electricity. There is no need of physical labor here and it is a very quick and efficient process. But the farmers need to have electrical supply to carry out these two modern methods of irrigation. Whereas the other traditional methods, there is no need of electricity. It requires the physical labor and it takes very long time. Either men or any animals like bulls are involved in this irrigation. Now let us look at the next important practice, that is protection from weeds. So what are these weeds? Weeds are the unwanted plants. So unwanted plants that grow along with our crop. Say for example, you are growing paddy. And if any unwanted plant is growing along with your paddy in your crop, you call it as a weed. So we want only paddy plants. Why these unwanted plants? These unwanted plants, they grow naturally. Because certain birds may carry the seeds of unwanted plants to our crop. Or before tilling the soil, if the soil is not properly removed from weeds, there may be the seeds of the weeds in the soil. When you sow the seeds of this paddy, then along with that the weeds may grow. So there are so many chances, ways by which the seeds of weeds reach the crops. But weeds are very dangerous. How they are dangerous? Weeds will compete with the original plant. Say for example, this is the original plant, this is the weed. The weed will compete in nutrient, in water supply. We are giving water to the crop, the weeds will take up more water. We are supplying fertilizers to the plant, the weeds will use up the fertilizers. They will cover the plant, so by that the shade of the weed will fall on the plant and it will not produce proper food. Say if this is the plant, this is the crop and this is the weed growing like this, weed. The shadow of the weed, it falls on the crop. There should be proper sunlight to carry out photosynthesis to prepare the food. If the shadows are falling, they cannot prepare. And sometimes while harvesting, if they cut the weeds along with the food crops, if that is eaten by animals or humans, it is dangerous because certain weeds, they contain toxins, poisonous substances. So in such way also they are dangerous. So however, weeds are a big problem to the farmers. So what to be done now? To avoid the weeds, the tilling of the soil must be done properly, ploughing. If any weeds are there, they should be crushed. And whatsoever we do, we should see that the weeds, whatever we do, removal of the weeds must be done before they start flowering. After they start flowering, they produce seeds. If you cut also, the seeds may fall in the soil and they grow again and again. So the weeds can be removed by some special tool called as kurpi. Manually, some labor is allotted there. Some people are allotted by giving 200 or 150 rupees per day. The people will go to the field and they will pluck the weeds selectively. With the help of kurpi, they will cut. But this is a very laborious work. Takes long time. You need to invest more money on the people, labor. Right? Some farmers, they don't use this physical method. They don't employ the people to cut the weed plants. What do? Is they use weedicide. The second method is weedicides. Weedicides are the chemicals. They will spray the chemical. You may get a doubt. If they spray the chemical, the original plant also may die along with the weed. No. The weedicides are designed in such a way, they will kill only the weed, not the original plant. Say here paddy and weed. If you apply the weedicide, the weed will die, the paddy remains normal. So that is in such a way the weedicides are designed. But the weedicides are costly and there may be certain side effects. You know that chemical application of chemicals leads to pollution and food also may get polluted. So there are other kind of issues connected to this weedicide, but here we are discussing what are the various methods to control the weeds. Two methods here: physical removal, manual removal by employing the labor using a tool called as kurpi, or manually they are plucking with their hands also. In some places they will pluck with their hands also the weedicides, and the agricultural scientists will are developing certain kind of tools for the farmers by running that tools with iron blades in the space gap between the crop plants. If any weeds are there, it will be crushed like that. So there are some techniques by which they will physically or manually remove the weeds. The second thing is applying the chemicals like weedicides to control the weeds. So the next practice is harvesting. It is an important practice. So this is the stage at which the farmer cut the crop, cut the produce, collect the produce from the crop. Generally, a cereal crop will come to maturity at a period of 3 to 4 months. So after 4 months, the crop is ready to cut. Right. So this is very, very important, because before cutting there should not be any cyclone or rains. All the efforts, all the investment and everything will be wasted if there are any cyclones before harvesting. So it is very important time, careful time. The crop is totally dried and ready to cut. Nothing should happen. No natural calamities should happen during the time of harvesting. So here the harvesting, it includes two steps. They are threshing and winnowing. Threshing is cutting the crop. It is done either by using a sickle manually. Farmers, they employ the labor. With a sickle they will cut the crop. They will cut the stems, dried stems, so which is done manually. This is called as manual threshing. The process called threshing, cutting or chaffing is called as threshing. And the other one is using a combine or harvester. Combine means it is a big machine which is having the facility to cut the crop, to separate the grain from the crop. Directly the grain you can pack it in the bags. Everything it will do in one go, and it will harvest acres of crops in very less time. So very big farmers, those who have more number of acres of land, they will buy a harvester, buy a combine which will do the harvesting, and the second process, winnowing, separating the grain from the stem, from the spikes. Both the things will be done at a time. Some farmers, those who have few acres of land, they will borrow a harvester or combine. So with that they will do the harvesting. Farmers, those do not have this, they will use manual labor. They employ the manual labor. With the help of a sickle they will cut the crop. So either of these ways the crop is cut. Now the crop is cut, the grains are collected in bags. So what to be done? Immediately they cannot sell it. So they should store it for some time. The grain has to mature completely. It should be sent to the rice mills. If it is rice, so it should be polished. Even though if it is wheat, it should be polished, and then it will be sold to the market when they get profitable price. So to do all this, it takes some time. Where do they keep these grains? If they keep them in open, the environmental factors, rainfall, temperature, everything will spoil it. If they keep them in simply in the godowns, pests, there is a problem with pest, rats, mice, they will make holes to the bags and spoil the grains. So now the task is storage. After harvesting, the grain is to be stored properly. Now let us see the issues linked up with storage. So here the next task is storage. I already told you that once the crop is harvested, The grains are to be properly stored. They should be protected from moisture. They should be protected from humidity, from high temperature, from rainfall, from all these factors, and moreover from the pest, rats, mice, and other animals which will damage the grains. So they make holes to the bags. They will eat the grains. They will spoil the grains. They will litter the grains. So the quality of the grains becomes less. So the farmer get less price. He will get loss. So to get profit, the quality of the grain must be in a good condition. It should be in very good quality. So the farmers, they need to store it well. Earlier farmers used to have storage bins. Storage bins made at their homes by using thatch and mud. They use it to build up bins. And some of the farmers at small farmers, they used to use metallic bins to protect the grains from rats and other pests. Sometimes to protect from small worms and insects and other small parasitic organisms, they use it to keep neem leaves in the bins. So by that they are protected from these small insects. Small insects will spoil the grains, beetles and certain worms. Neem leaves are used. In large scale, so this is small scale, small farmers. If it is on large scale, large amount of grain, it is stored in silos. They are stored in silos or granaries. On large quantity, the grains are stored here, silos and granaries. And how they are protected here? On large quantity, they cannot use the neem leaves to protect from the small worms and all. They use chemical treatment. Chemicals are sprayed. So by all this, you can understand one thing: whatsoever the product of crop, agricultural product, either the grains, either the cereals or the pulses or vegetables or fruits, you must be washing them properly before you consume. You tell to your mother, because all these food items are sprayed with certain chemicals at either of the stages, either of the growth or harvesting or storage. The food items are sprayed with chemicals. Definitely they will harm us. So we should be very careful. Before cooking the food items, we must be properly, thoroughly washing. You please go to internet or refer some books in your library how to clean the fruits, vegetables, cereals and pulses before cooking. Because we are learning here that, seeing here, because that is in the view of getting a good production and good profit from the side of farmers, at many stages they are applying the chemicals. But see that at the point of view from the side of consumer, as you and me, when we are consuming the food, see that how it may affect the health. So you should take care that you should be properly washing the food items, cleaning the food items, fruits, vegetables and cereals, pulses. You see, you might be observing that your mother will wash the rice before she cooks 2 to 3 times, or you see that the wheat is also cleansed. So this is the way how we can get rid of that, but it is unavoidable because we cannot avoid that. It is needed, otherwise there will be a loss to the farmers and they cannot grow any more crops. So they go for these kind of methods. In large scale, silos or granaries. On small scale, on large scale, chemicals are sprayed. On small scale, they use neem leaves. So on large scale storage, silos or granaries, and small scale storage, they use some bins made by their own, or some metallic bins are used for storage of grains. So once the grains are properly stored, then when there is a good price in the market, then the farmer can take the grains to the market yards, where they sell the grains in a wholesale market, that is called market yard. They will take the grains to the market yard and they will sell and get a good profit. So in this way, they can get good crop production, at the same time benefits or profit. So in all these practices, farmers must be having good knowledge. They should take proper decisions, right decisions, whether to use manure or whether to use fertilizer, or whether to follow this method or that method, manual method, or using a machinery, or whatsoever, planning with their available budgets. they can get profits and they can get a good production of crop. So we have seen how how the grains, cereals, fruits, vegetables are produced, and how much effort is there behind production of this food. So know the importance of the food and don't waste the food, because production of food is involving so many practices, and at every point there is some risk we have seen. So you must realize the importance of food, you must realize the importance of agriculture, you must realize the importance of the farmer who is putting his efforts, money, risk, everything in doing that. You must realize the environmental factors and their influence on the crop production. So these are the various things that we should learn, realize from this lesson. So agriculture or crop production here involves, here we have seen only about the plants. From animals also there are certain products. Certain farmers, they grow some animals to get some products like milk, eggs, poultry, meat. These all we are getting from animals. This is also a part of agriculture, which is called as animal husbandry. What is it called as? Animal husbandry. So this animal husbandry, it includes many things. Poultry, hens are grown for eggs and meat. Buffaloes and cows are grown, they are reared for milk. And goats and sheep are reared for wool and meat. And honeybees are kept for the production of honey. Prawns and fishes are grown in aquaculture for the food production, for the export. So all this comes under this animal husbandry, which we will learn in the next classes.